here, you are on the bleeding edge of ADUs. And things are changing rapidly. So these meetings are really important because, yes, we had that big change in California in 2020, but the rules, both the permitting rules, the local rules, the lending rules, keep changing. And so our goal here is to stay up to date. I'm Meredith Stowers with aduloans.net. And one of the things we're going to be talking about, just to give you an overview of the vendors, most important is local grants and incentives for homeowners. Now, these several people, including Sonia Singha here, have some really cutting edge programs that you can take advantage of right now. And that's the goal, is what can a homeowner take advantage of right now to benefit from building ADUs. There's also some new experimental permit rules. We've got some fabulous experience with ADU villages and real world experiments in group housing, and then how investors are key partners. Now, little warning, you're gonna hear now and again, you're gonna hear the word lien. Now, as a lender, I'm normally like, no liens on a property, no liens on a property. But in this case, when we've had over a year and a half where renters are not allowed are permitted to forego their rental property, even though that's not applicable to owner-occupied houses and ADUs, that makes me, the lender, nervous. So I'd like for you to consider and keep your mind open. What is a lien? A lien is a restriction placed on the property based on unpaid finances. In other words, you took a loan and they agreed to, you needed to do certain things. Liens are created to incentivize property owners to repay the amount and sort of follow some good directions. There's some good things going on, so keep your options open here. Right now, I'm really excited to introduce Cole Peterson. We in California think that, of course, we're the cutting edge of everything, and we're not. Cole led this ADU effort over a decade ago in Oregon, and through his company, Accessory Dwelling Strategies, he has been consulting, entrepreneurship, guiding. He has tiny home hotels. He teaches ADU classes for homeowners and much more. And he also is the author of the book, Backdoor Revolution, The Definitive Guide to ADU Development. And with that, I'll turn it over to Cole Peterson.
Thanks, Meredith, and thanks for having me today. I'm gonna share my screen here. Figure out how to do that. So let's see, there we go. All right, so yeah, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I do a lot of work across the country on doing ADU education advocacy consulting work. This is me, this is the book Backdoor Revolution. Here's a copy of it. It's online and it's also in print. These are the two websites that I'll kind of refer to today. buildinganadu.com and accessorydwellings.org, and there's my contact info. So I wanted to focus in, because I only have a few minutes here, to talk about affordability. I think that's something that is near and dear to everybody's hearts on the call, whether you're a homeowner or a policymaker. And the truth is, there's a lot of contradictory information about affordability in ADUs. They are the most affordable type of housing you can do in general in urbanized areas. Nonetheless, they're still expensive. The baseline cost for doing an ADU in the Portland market, which is going to be a little bit less expensive than the San Diego market, but nonetheless, like up to 2019, these are the data points for detached new construction ADUs from the ADU tours that I've run. And the bottom cost that you would see is about $100,000, and then the average cost might be closer to $210,000 for an 800 square foot ADU. So it kind of goes up in terms of, as you go up in size, it'll go up in cost a little bit, but interestingly, it's only marginally more expensive if it's a really large ADU. So I oftentimes tell homeowners, if you're gonna go in for this anyway, there's kind of a fixed cost of development. So consider going as big as you can in terms of getting better value for your money. But and homeowners in fact do so. If you see the number of points that are kind of clustered in the 700 to 800 square foot range, which is the upper threshold of what's permissible in the city of Portland, where I am, a lot of ADUs are coming in at that price, at that size. So in any case, ADUs are fairly expensive, and these numbers have gone up significantly since COVID because of construction labor shortfalls and material costs going up. So we're seeing these numbers going up. Now the average cost for an 800 square foot ADU is closer to $300,000 all in the Portland market. But that's not what I'm going to focus on today. And this is kind of like the more traditional custom design build process for detached new construction ADUs, which is the majority of the market. But I wanted to focus in on two different elements of, potential ways to get at less expensive ADUs, which is conversions of existing structures and prefabricated or manufactured ADUs, and then mobile ADUs. And we'll talk, just kind of give my perspective on those two things. So, and there's a blog post on buildinganadu.com that goes into this particular post in more detail. But we'll start off with conversions here. So whether it's a junior ADU or just an ADU in general, a conversion of a pre-existing structure is one way to get out a much less expensive ADU. On the one hand, well, you're not building the structural walls, you're not building the roof, you're not rebuilding the floor. And so as a result, you have the structural shell intact, and you're just basically doing a gut renovation of the interior of that structural shell. The advice I would provide to homeowners who are pursuing this is, do not, to the extent possible, don't alter your structural shell if you want to reduce your construction costs. And that can be a challenge, but that's kind of, the easiest way to keep your costs down is to use that existing structural shell. This could apply for garage conversion ADUs, but it could also apply to other spaces you have in your property, if it's a basement or other portions of your property that you can convert to an ADU. That's going to be much less expensive than building an ADU from the ground up. On the other hand, you are removing useful, valuable space on your property, whether it's a garage or a basement. So there is, of course, you're actually devaluing your property by removing those useful storage spaces, but you're adding more value by converting those structures to useful, habitable living space. So like I said, there's a post on here on buildinganadu.com that goes into this in a lot more detail. In this case, this guy built a 400 square foot ADU for $63,000, tracked his cost really closely. Here's a bunch of images. You can look at that for good tips and tricks from him. And then I'm going to talk about prefabricated manufactured ADUs, because indeed, while this isn't a big trend up here in Portland, this is a bigger trend in California, in the Southern California market, in San Francisco. And there's a pretty thorough blog post on buildinganadu.com with one of the larger prefabricated builders in California who serves the San Francisco, Bay Area market on buildinganadu.com. And I know there's other vendors on today's call that are really expert in this particular subject area. So I would just recommend, as a neutral third-party subject matter expert, that while this isn't the most common form of ADU development, it is certainly another way to get at much less expensive ADUs. They are, just as a cautionary note for homeowners who are looking into this, when you're looking at this, it's not just the sticker price of the structure that you're seeing. You also want to look at the delivery costs and the cost of the foundation, the cost of the infrastructure, the cost of the permits, the cost of the designs that are you're going to need to use to get that building placed on your property. So all those factors, even included, will still result in probably a less expensive ADU in many cases than a custom design build ADU. But not to undermine custom design build ADUs, I'm a big fan of that. That's the majority of the market that I work with. All right, so then we're going on to mobile ADUs here. So San Diego and like 5 other jurisdictions in California passed a code that allows for park model RVs to be utilized as legal permissible ADUs. And these are much less expensive than other ADUs in general. They're on wheels, and you still have to, investigate all those different things that I just mentioned: the foundation, putting it, placing it on your site itself, and then the utility hookups and the site plan and all that stuff. So make sure you get all those costs inclusive when you're looking at this potential option. And this is something that San Diego is allowing, but I'm actually going to critique San Diego and critique California a little bit here in a minute, which is that the movable tiny house provision within the code allows for park model RVs to be used as ADUs, which is great, but they're still going to cost like at least $70,000. And I want to just give an idea out there, which is perhaps not a popular idea, but something that we are looking at in Portland, which is we're now allowing for starting August 1st for all RVs and tiny homes on wheels with or without certifications to be utilized as legal permissible dwellings on residential properties. And this is an example of a casita trailer that's $12,700. You know, this could be a housing unit. And in fact, it is a housing unit in a lot of cases. In Southern California, this is a research paper that was done several years ago by somebody who researched, you know, the fact that there are in fact a lot of RVs being used as housing in Southern California. So this is already a fact, and it's kind of a you know, if we're talking about addressing the affordable housing crisis, it's better to lower the barriers to entry to create, you know, more housing opportunities. It's an interesting topic to consider. But this is a post that's on accessorydwellings.org that deals with these new provisions of Portland's code that allows for tiny homes with or without certifications and RVs to be utilized as legal dwellings on residential properties. So I wanted to give it a shout out to this particular idea because it goes a little bit beyond what San Diego is currently allowing. And in fact, in a survey that I did of one neighborhood in Portland, I biked around to every residential property, roughly 5,000 properties, and cataloged every single inhabited RV and tiny house on those properties. And even though we are kind of we have more market penetration of ADUs than any other city in the country, after doing this survey, it was evident that there was actually 6 more, in this case, this particular neighbor, 6 more inhabited mobile dwellings than there were permitted ADUs. So this is actually a phenomenon that's already occurring under our noses. And so it's something that, you know, may not be entirely politically popular, but in fact, when Portland passed this code that did allow for tiny houses and RVs to be utilized as permissible dwellings, it got unanimous support by the city council and unanimous support from the public on it. So it was kind of an interesting process to watch how popular this particular set of provisions were. If you want to learn more about these things, I'd just recommend checking out buildinganadu.com, accessorydwellings.org, and picking up a copy of this book. The first half of the book deals with kind of information for homeowners who want to build an ADU. And the second half of the book is for policymakers who want to see more ADUs built. With that, I will turn it back to you, Meredith. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Cole. Super appreciate your perspective, you know, 10 years later, because it is important, and that's why we brought TinyFest on. And with the, again, as a lender, with the price of timber going up, not only are we seeing more movement toward prefab and manufactured, but the ADU Coalition is actually proactively working on sustainable alternative materials, even for stick built. So we'll have an upcoming event. It's not going to be July, but we'll have an upcoming event trying to help you save money with some different alternatives that we'll showcase. Our booths do showcase a lot of that. Right now, we're going to go into the section of the program that talks about local grant and policy program showcase. These are for individual homeowners, stuff that's available in your local community. And if your local authorities aren't in this list, check them out, because chances are they're doing something to model these cutting edge leaders. I will be posting their links in the thing, but we're going to start in the chat. We're going to start with the amazing Sonia Singha from Housing Trust Silicon Valley. Thanks, Sonia.
Thank you, Meredith. And just want to thank ADU Coalition for giving me an opportunity to talk about our upcoming construction loan program with Housing Trust. So let me share my screen here. Oh, I'm not able to share, Meredith.
Okay, hold on. You should be able to share.
Let me try it.
You're a co-host.
No.
No.
For whatever reason, it's not working. So I can, without sharing my screen, I can kind of, do a run through on my slides. It would be nice to see some slides for all the attendees, but no worries, I can share the slides later. So I just want to talk a little bit about Housing Trust, who we are. So Housing Trust is a CDFI. We are a community development financial institution and a nonprofit. So as an affordable housing lender, we are trying to tackle the housing crisis from every angle, from helping the homeless get off the streets to financing affordable housing developments and assisting renters and first-time home buyers. And now with the newest program, we are trying to help homeowners create an affordable unit to live in their own backyard. My name is Sonia Singha, and I am the mortgage loan officer for ADU construction loans at Housing Trust. Now, one of the main things that homeowners deal with is, how do I pay for an ADU? Now, the current financial options for homeowners looking to finance ADU are kind of limited. The usual financing options are the most popular ones are like get a cash out refinance on the primary residence, a home equity line of credit, personal savings and loans from friends and family, borrowing from your retirement account. Some lenders, quite a few lenders are out there offering renovation loans as well. And then most recently, there are some profit sharing and some equity sharing options available as well. But as you can see, there is a gap between the current conventional financing options available and a lack of secondary mortgage construction financing, which kind of leads to our loan program, and we are trying to fill that gap in. So I'll briefly go over our loan terms. So we're going to be lending up to a $200,000 loan amount, or 97% CLTV, whichever is lower, combined loan to value. Housing Trust is licensed to be in a second lien position. So what that means is that we are requiring our homeowners to have a current first mortgage ahead of us. The term of a loan is going to be for 36 months or 3 years. Now, the first year of the loan is going to be where the ADU is going to be constructed. So the borrower is expected to be paying interest-only payments on the loan in the first year. In the second year and the third year, once the ADU has been constructed and it has been rented out, the loan will convert to, payments will convert to regular monthly payments of principal and interest, which will be amortized over 20 years. The interest rate on our loan, on our second loan, is going to be at 5%. Initially, we are launching this program as a pilot program. And so it will be only available in Santa Clara, all cities in Santa Clara County and East Palo Alto. The eligible costs for our program are going to be the hard construction costs. So we're covering hard construction costs, which are directly related to like the building structure, the site, the landscape, and any material and labor costs. We will consider soft cost reimbursement, but only on a case-by-case basis. But I do want to make something clear that the borrower is expected to pay for the soft costs upfront. And if those costs are approved by us, we will reimburse them, but only after close of escrow. So I just want to make that clear, because sometimes there's confusion about why we are, how can the borrower get a permit if you're covering the soft costs. So soft costs, as you know, includes everything from architectural design fees and, most importantly, permit fees, which are some of the most expensive fees. Now, we do have, because we are an affordable housing lender, we do have an affordability feature which is built into our loan. And what that means is that the borrower must rent out to a qualified tenant for at least 2 years. So the qualification here is that the tenant is supposed to be making up to 120% of the area median income. Now, these limits are set by the Housing and California Department, and they change every year. It's Housing and Community Development, and they change every year. So the 2020 limits, the 120% AMI translates to about 118,920. So we will be updating those limits based on those limits probably by next week. Now, we also have established a set of rent caps that the homeowner is allowed to charge their ADU tenant. And the idea behind establishing these rent limits is to make these ADU units more affordable and accessible to low to moderate income individuals or families who want to be able to live in the Bay Area, because otherwise they're priced out of the rental market, and because they can't afford a market rate rental unit. Now, so for a homeowner who's thinking of building a studio ADU, they can rent their ADU for 1,982, and I'll share these limits in the chat, and I'll be available after this if anybody has any questions. One bedroom will go for $2,266, and a two bedroom will go for $2,589. So again, like I said, I will share, be happy to share this. The next point I want to make really quickly is that the next thing that homeowners want to know is, okay, so this is great, these are your loan terms, how do I qualify? Well, there's two parts to the qualification. One part is project readiness, and the other part is financial readiness. So under project readiness, the main thing is, the first thing is actually that we do require our homeowners to have some basic education about ADUs. There's a lot of information on ADUs. Cole Peterson's book and his classes and is one of them among the, lots of information available on the internet, and homeowners are very savvy, but as we have to do our due diligence, but every homeowner is also at a different level of education. So we want to make sure that everybody has that baseline set up. So we do have some educational requirements that they need to meet. So they must have attended at least 2 of our online webinars, which are pre-recorded, or 1 in-person workshop. We also are requiring them to have some property management experience. And to help them with that, we are offering, through a third party, we are offering there's an online landlord certification course that we would like them to do. Or if they have any previous landlord experience, they can provide us with like 2 years of rent rolls to show that they have experience working with a tenant. Because for most homeowners who are not investors, or you don't have other investment properties, being a landlord is not as simple as just taking in a check and depositing it into your bank. That you have to abide by fair housing laws, and you have to make sure you're aware of how to deal with your tenants. So, that is the reason for that particular requirement. The next requirement is that our construction loan initially right now will only be applied for detached ADUs and garage conversions, and it is only available in Santa Clara County and East Palo Alto. So again, those things our geographical limit is also a little bit limited right now, because we want to test out our program once it launches and make sure it's doing well before we open it up to other cities and counties. Now, another thing is we want to make sure that you're working with a qualified builder. And the builder has to be qualified by us, because we do have some certain requirements that the builder must meet. Notably among those qualifications is, of course, 5 years of residential construction experience, but they must have experience building at least 2 ADUs in California. And they must have evidence of they have an active ADU project pipeline, and some references available as well. And the most important thing actually in project readiness is that we are requiring our homeowners to have a permit in hand. They must have a permit in hand, and the building permit must be issued, so that you can start, once you've applied for a loan with Housing Trust, and let's say the loan cycle takes about 30 to 45 days, you close the loan, but we are requiring you, as part of our timeline of construction, we are requiring you to actually start construction within 90 days. And that can only happen if you have a permit in hand before you apply for a loan with us. The financial readiness guidelines that we have is that the homeowner must have a current first mortgage ahead of our lien, which has to be a 15 or a 30-year fixed mortgage. So any fixed mortgage product would be okay. As a borrower, your name must be showing on the property title, and you must own or occupy the property. It cannot be an investment property, at least not for now, not for the pilot phase of the program. And no liens or judgments should be showing on the property title. I know Meredith touched on that a little bit earlier, but the whole thinking behind that is because, as most of you know, being in a second lien position puts us at a much greater risk than the first lender, than most first lenders. So we do have to put some requirements in place to protect our own position as well. We are also requiring that all borrowers on the loan must have a minimum FICO score of 680. And The other part of the financial qualification is that we want to obviously qualify the borrower to make sure that they have the ability to make two monthly mortgage payments. So first one is obviously the first mortgage payment that they're making payments on already. And the second one will be the mortgage with housing trust. And we also require 6 months of reserves.
Nice, huh?
I'm sorry? So that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's kind of where we are right now with the program. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, I could not share my slides, but I'll be happy to share them with you, with anybody who's interested, and I'll put all my information in the chat. So thank you, Meredith.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia. You have such a cutting edge program. And we have a couple of questions. Brandon's asking, is this all for the Bay Area? Can you repeat where the geographic location is eligible?
So right now, when we launch, it will be open for all cities in Santa Clara County and East Palo Alto.
Okay, Nick is asking, can you do this on an owner-occupied R2 duplex?
No, we are not doing duplexes right now.
Okay. Can you rent to family that happens to be low income?
Yes, as long as a family member or, family member, adult children, anybody can be living in the ADU, but they will also have to qualify with that income qualification of 120% AMI.
Okay, so this is a lien, correct?
This is a second lien, yes.
Okay, so what happens if you have a change of plans? Like, let's say, my mother becomes elderly and you really want to use the ADU for my mother. What happens with the loan terms? Do you need to refinance out of it, or what happens?
You mean your tenant cannot afford to make the payments?
No, like if you want to move the low income tenant out and you don't want to do the low income tenant program for any reason, what happens? What are the terms?
Well, you can pay us off. You'll have to pay us off. So our loan term is 3 years, and there's no prepayment penalty. If somebody just wants to do the construction and then pay us off, they can do that as well. There's no prepayment penalty.
Okay, so let's say somebody maxes out and does a $200,000 ADU. What is the typical monthly payment on that with your program, and what is the rental income maximum?
So the rental, the monthly mortgage payment on that loan would be, I believe it's $1,360 a month. And I'm sorry, you asked about the rental income on the ADU?
Yeah.
So the rental, that depends on how big an ADU you're building, right? So whether it's a studio or whether it's a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. So the So the rental income for the studio that you can rent out to is $1,982. For a 1-bedroom, it's $2,266, and for a 2-bedroom is $2,589.
Okay, super. So, I mean, the rental income, the ROI, even though you're doing a lien for low income housing, is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. Lindsay is posting those rental income. This is a great return on investment and a fantastic program. Thank you, Sonia, for sharing that. We're going to move on and talk about some different programs with, hold on just a second. Okay, some different programs with other counties, and Sonia's presentation is really critical because it gives you a sense of the how these programs are being developed. Marin County, and I will be posting, several of these people were not able to attend today, unfortunately. Marin County has a very similar program. They are doing $50,000 loans, and presumably that is for what I call the startup costs on ADUs. Those are the designs, permits, all those types of things that typically take 6 months before you're doing construction. And then presumably, once you get to construction and need to pay for that, you would do a cash out refinance or a renovation or construction loan. And that's important. By the way, 85% of ADU likely properties in the state of California are not going to be cash outs. They're going to be renovation loans. And that's really important. So most lenders don't do those. If you've been told you're not qualified for a cash out or a second mortgage, then go find a renovation loan specialist, because it's not necessarily that you're not qualified, it's that they don't do that type of loan program. Those are kind of niche. So food for thought. So Marin County, $50,000, it does have a lien. If you change your mind, you just need to pay it back. So with the kind of return on investment that Sonia's making sense, or you do a refinance, that can make a lot of sense. Next is the city of San Diego. I regret that Jared Basler is not here to present the details today. His son has birthday, but city of San Diego. Oh, typical soft costs. What are the typical soft costs that you see, Sonia?
So you're talking in terms of the actual soft costs?
Yeah, in Alameda County, but elsewhere.
Soft costs will run the whole gamut of, like, the total, I can give you a number off the top of my head, like permit fees itself can run, like in San Jose, can run anywhere from a couple of thousand, easily $6,000 to $7,000 or more. And our other, so the total soft cost reimbursement that we're looking at approximately runs from $10,000 to $15,000. That's just a combination of all the soft costs.
And that's important. That's about what I see too. I see a minimum of about $9,000 to up to, typically up to $20,000. Those are for designs and permits. And it typically takes 6 months. That includes architecture fees in the soft costs. And this is where Lee is right. You can use an architect or you can use a design, but it's going to be about the same. I'm no contractor or architect, but I see the bids come across the desk. If you have topographical issues like hillsides, you're going to, and challenges, water, all kinds of stuff, you're going to see those fees go up. And because you've got to do, if you're doing a 2-story, you've got to do structural engineering as well. So there's some other things that need to take place in there. I've seen them as high as $40,000 on a really complicated house, but most of the time it's between, I'd say, $9,000 and $20,000 across the state. So we talked about Marin County, city of San Diego, and we're going to keep going through local districts. City of San Diego has a fabulous, really cutting edge new program that's best described by Jared Basler, the godfather of Granny Flats, on our board of the ADU Coalition. He's actually the first to submit the first project to the city of San Diego to do this. Bottom line is, for every one ADU you submit for a permit that you agree to lien for a low income to moderate income, they will permit that, and they will allow you to have a second permit, a second ADU that's not liened. And in theory, you can build an unlimited number of ADUs up to the setback lines. So essentially, you could take a single family home and create an entire ADU village. Now, you can't really finance that with residential loans. You can only finance that up to 4 units. And that's all really complicated. I know, repeat that again. Yes. Bottom line is, you can have unlimited ADUs on a single family property in the city of San Diego. And the limitation is the setback lines and other, basically you can't cram them all in together. So it's just junky. So that's really important. They need to be stick built, manufactured, or modular ADUs. They cannot be tiny homes on wheels. And I'm going to let Jenny Crane talk about that in the various locations a little bit later. So in theory, you can't, it's a tricky thing, but what's exciting here is that a small ADU, if you're going to maximize your income, a small ADU in San Diego is probably about 150, really with timber prices closer to 200,000. So I see that typically a cost of about $884 per month when financed, but the maximum income you can do in San Diego on a 2-bedroom ADU is $2,600 per month. So that is an amazing ROI for the City of San Diego program. So just food for thought. Again, you can talk to the architects and people in their booths right now. That is at the top of the screen. So that's really exciting. The City of Los Angeles, their ADU accelerator program is another max rent in San Diego for this year, and rental income does go up every year. For a moderate income is $2,600 on a 2-bedroom. So if you take a look at what Lindsay Wood posted earlier, I mean, it gives you a sense of what rental incomes are going to be for low income and moderate income. City of Los Angeles has a really cool program called the ADU Accelerator. There is no lien, as I understand, on this program. Basically what they do is they give ADU builders, homeowners who build ADUs, a choice of 3 low-income seniors, and they subsidize those individuals' rent. And it's so they basically are helping you with the property management. They give you 3 people to talk to, low-income seniors. They subsidize their rent, and just as important, the rent is being paid by the city, not by the senior. So if the senior has issues or whatever, you're still getting paid, and that's guaranteed up to 5 years. To me, that is a really good opportunity there. And, you know, I think it's nice, especially quite honestly for clients that don't want big families in their backyard. They want a nice, you know, quiet tenant, you know, single bedroom, that kind of stuff. Napa Sonoma ADU, Renee is on maternity leave, but they have a really cool program where they basically handhold you to, that last one was the City of Los Angeles ADU Accelerator. So Napa Sonoma ADU, they have a fabulous program, basically hand-holding, doing the consultation, walking you through your building of an ADU, and it's free. They basically guide you through a fairly overwhelming process at no cost, and help you identify good builders and all kinds of things to encourage all that. Hello Housing covers Alameda County and South San Francisco. They also provide feasibility and project management free. I'm posting links on here to all of this, so you can sort of see those details. You want to go see that. Santa Cruz County also is trying to really encourage people to, they have like an ADU concierge who's really helpful in getting your permits done. Kathy Malloy on that. Senior assistance was for the City of Los Angeles. We'll talk about, yeah, City of La Mesa. You want to talk to Michelle Hoddle about that. She sits on the planning board, so you can see her in her booth. Santa Cruz County also has a concierge program, and they may, some of these, it's in the chat, some of these may be expanding the programs in a way, sorry, that Sonia has come. So again, if you don't live or have a property in these locations, please go check your local county and your local city, because they may be swiping and adapting from these cutting edge programs. San Jose, City of San Jose has an ADU ally. Her name is Sarah, and I'm going to post Sarah Schul. That's her email address. Again, she's going to help you with the permits and designs, planning, and so on. No incentives in Chula Vista. I'm going to say it point blank. They're not ADU friendly. So that's tricky. That's where you want to have a solid architect. Rule and Design is on here. They have a number of programs. Jared Baszler. You want to have somebody who actually knows the permanent planning guys, because I'll put that down on there for City of Chula Vista. There are some locations, yes, go to Lee Eisen or Michelle Heidel for assistance to architects. Architects are critical, especially in locations where they don't want any more ADUs. They're done. They don't, I mean, even though it's state law to have ADUs, it's really critical to you work with somebody who knows what the heck they are doing in this. Habitat for Humanity, I know, are developing programs that are not for release, but keep an eye out on that. I know I've gone through that. I'm going to turn it over to Bob Link. Bob, if you'd unmute and talk about LA Moss and City of Pasadena. Bob, you're muted. Old Town San Diego is City of San Diego, so that's good news. Bob, you in?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The unmute wasn't working. Okay. Hey, Bob Link here. Very much appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to copy a couple of websites up to the chat room here so we can see those. And if I'm successful at doing that.
Teresa, as long as they're in the City of San Diego, yes. Go ahead, keep going.
Oh, good, appreciate it. So got a couple interesting programs in the area, and I was asked to speak briefly today about LA Moss. LA Moss is evidence that the communities are trying to come together and do something that's going to make a difference to the community. The mission of the LA Moss design is to promote neighborhood resilience and elevate working class communities of color in Los Angeles. And this is important. We're all in a phase that we're trying to recover from the environment. We're looking at ADUs. The ADU Coalition has been very fortunate to work with AIA San Diego and focus on the architectural design of ADUs. And we welcome the opportunity and the challenges to work with HCD. And Jared has been a true leader in this regard, and it remains a pleasure to work with Jared, Meredith, and others. But LA Moss provides an opportunity to really speak to the community. The vision for them up in Los Angeles is to provide equitable access to power and resources and that shape the community. And they have a couple of very successful projects, the Backyard Home Project and the Storefront Project up in LA, which I highlighted in the chat. And you're free to take a look at the background and research to that. But in San Diego, the environment is here that we can work with the City of San Diego, with the administration, through the ADU Coalition, and specifically with AIA to help design better solutions, more equitable community-based solutions, so people have a chance to get their feedback on the ground if they're talking on affordable rental and looking at the incentives in that regard, and having an opportunity to do better right here in our own backyard. So I encourage the ADU Coalition guests today to take a look at that. Certainly would like to promote the Tiny Fest coming up next weekend, work with Renee and others to take a look at, again, what's going on in our backyard and try to work that into our environment. So thank you, Meredith.
Super, thanks, Bob. And also take a look, guys, at City of Pasadena and City of Berkeley, who've recently passed some new stuff to make it easier. Again, you guys, we're all on the cutting edge of the ADU system. So people like Sonia and Marin County are doing some really interesting things that we're already hearing rumblings that other cities are going to swipe and adapt to make it easier for on ADUs. Next step is churches, investors, nonprofits as key financiers of affordable housing and group housing. We're going to talk about a couple of experiments going on here. Bob, why don't you go ahead and start that?
So we have an opportunity to work with YIGB in San Diego, and YIGB is a community organization that focused on providing housing in the faith-based environment. They have an active board of directors to work in the faith-based arena, and similar to LA Mass, right here in our own backyard, they provide an opportunity to really focus on what's going on in the community, in this particular regard, faith-based community. Their mission is to provide a collaborative group of professionals to build multifamily housing units and single housing units. And the definition of faith-based property is expanding now in San Diego. So in addition to large collaborative projects for a multi-housing development, there's also an opportunity to work with ADUs, and there are incentives in the environment to produce ADUs that are faith-based related on smaller lots than what YIGB had initially envisioned in the faith-based environment. The goal of the YIGB organization is to provide 3,000 units on faith-based property by 2025. And that goal was set actually prior to the establishment of the objective to look at individual ADU properties on individual faith-based related endeavors. The leaders in the YIGB organization are significant. They include Andy Ballastar, local developer Doug Austin, Greg Anglia, Phil Bono, Monica Ball, which is significant because Monica is with the president of the Uplift San Diego nonprofit organization, which was an initial sponsor of the ADU coalition, right along with AIA San Diego, and has been a significant leader. And recently the addition of Jennifer Litwack, and of course the longstanding presence of Reverend Roland Slade in the YIGB organization promoting faith-based development. And we will be discussing these and others in the CNN booth, which is partnered with ThermoRock, as soon as we have an opportunity to our booth. And I encourage people to explore each of the available booths this morning as this event speaker engagement concludes and we move into the booth session so that you can see what's out there. Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you, Bob. I am super excited. Bob's going to jump off to his booth. If you haven't been to the fabulous Encuentra Hotel in the Valle de Guadalupe, New Mexico, that is an example of some of Bob's available work that is truly interesting. So next we're gonna, Lenska Bracknell is talking to an investor, and this is, guys, what really matters. This is what shows you the power of investing in low-income housing. She's interviewing her, one of her investors. She is on the board of the San Diego Creative Investors Association. She does have a booth after this, but nobody is more knowledgeable about really strategizing for ROI in properties and now ADUs. Let me share my screen and get this started. Where are we? Where are we? Okay. Hold on just a second. This should be going. Forgive me. Ah, there we go. It is not showing. Why is this not?
Because you're not sharing the video.
I know.
On the Zoom link.
Okay. Oh, you got to put it on the Zoom link?
No, on your Zoom settings, you have to open the video first, okay, and then share the screen.
Okay, got it. I'm going to run this and then share it.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lenska with Lenska Realty, and I am also on the board of SDCIA, San Diego Creative Investor Association, here in San Diego. SDCIA.com. Check it out for a lot of investor-related education, experiences, and meetings. And this is how I met one of the most successful.
Hold on.
Don't see the video.
Okay, hold on just a second. I apologize.
Why you figure that one out?
Okay, you talk.
I'm going to fill some of the air. So my name is Lenska, and as Meredith said, and I always enjoy introducing investors that are actually also helping the community. And if I have investors on the call or even homeowners, sometimes the Section 8 rental program has a little bit of a stigma to it. And so that's why I interviewed Ward, because it is practically a very good program, but I believe the city and county, they do need more rental stock. And especially people always say, oh, you know, I don't want to get in the government and this and that, but it actually has two good really reasons. First of all, yes, they do inspect the unit, but that also keeps your tenant in check, and you have practically the opportunity every year to get in and maybe make certain repairs. Plus, the other good thing is, and I was shocked to hear the affordable rent in San Francisco for one bedroom is $2,300. In San Diego, it's about 1,000, I think 1,000 that the government pays you guaranteed. Now, especially after this whole COVID thing, and obviously our current administration expanding the government rental program, so you might reconsider doing the Section 8 rental. So, and that's why Meredith, just stop me if, here we go.
Here we
And
go.
now you're hopefully seeing a live,
Sorry.
a live version of it, and especially, and you guys probably heard that there are about like what 12,000 people on the waiting list for Section 8. So the whole government rental assistance program will most likely be really expanded. And I wish I could play it on my on my thing, but I have to switch over to my other meeting, which I can do. Do you want me to?
Just 2 seconds.
Okay.
2 seconds.
Oh, okay, good.
I think we got it. Sorry about this, guys. Little technical difficulties.
So, and if you want any more like education, please check out sdcia.com, standing for San Diego Creative Investor Association. We hosted an in-live ADU event for over 400 people, and then obviously COVID hit, and we'll do these Zoom meetings. But also we do offer, and I offer a in-person field trip, which we actually—
Sorry, was that SDCIA?
Correct. San
Okay,
Diego Creative Investor Association. And you can come to my booth. You know, I'm headed under Crest Backyard Homes, because which is also more an affordable solution for homeowners to put an ADU in there, because it's manufactured. As you all heard about the rising lumber cost and construction cost. And if you guys have tried to get some contractors out to give you a bid, just shortcut it. Just call Meredith. I'm giving a shameless plug right now.
It's okay. Bottom line is Lenska knows how to do this. I mean, as a homeowner or first-time home buyer, imagine buying a home as low as 3.5% and building an ADU and leveraging these programs, all financed and then basically paid for by this rental income. I think I have it going.
Good.
Hold on just a second. Let me see.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lenska with Lenska Realty, and I am also on.
Oh, we can't hear it.
Experiences and meetings. And this is how I met one of the most successful real estate investors. And not only because he makes a ton of money, but he also gives back to the community and is very concerned about our 55 plus. I think I'm not supposed to say elderly anymore. So 55 plus community, and early on discovered that these are very thankful tenants. So I'm going to introduce Ward Hannigan. And if I would tell you his entire resume, it would bust the 10 minutes we actually have for our showcase study. So Ward, anything else I should add to your introduction?
No, that's fine. You know, number one, that I like sharing with people. So that's what I love about the club. And I like answering a lot of questions that people have when they first start. And that helps get them over the hump.
Perfect. So You and I, we went through one of your ADUs, and I'm going to share my screen so you all can see the pictures and not just see only talking heads. So this was built actually to rent to Section 8 tenants. And right here it is on Gammer Street in 92113, where there was a main house, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 10,016 square feet. And Ward, when did you buy it? This was a while back, right?
That was in the 60s, like 60, no, not in the 60s, 99, I think, right around 98, 99.
Yeah.
And I bought it at a foreclosure, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I remember I paid about $66,000 for that house, and just kept it. That whole area is called Shelltown, and what's unique about it is that the lots are elongated so that you can legally have a house in the front near the street, and then the alleyway, you can have another property that's facing the alley, and so you could have if you bought that property way back when, you could, it was anticipated that you probably would add another unit to it and get additional income.
Yeah, and this is obviously a perfect play for investors. So you guys see that long lot. So, and you designed a very clever floor plan, and this is just the drawing, but I'd like to show a couple of pictures just so you guys get an idea about the before and after, and then how buildings kind of get built, and also the inside, because right now we can't look behind the walls. And so it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 492 square feet. And so we're going to play a video, and Ward, talk us, oh, I gotta turn the volume off. So talk us through.
All right, so this is the access from the alley. We also can access it from the street. We put in a double car parking, tandem parking. And anyways, that makes it easy to not have to deal with finding parking place on the street. I think that's a privacy. The people in the front.
Yeah. Do your Section 8 tenants usually have cars?
No, very rare. But the 20 properties I have, there's probably no more than 2 that even have garages, and it's not a negative at all because they don't have the money to put a car in it in the first place.
Yeah. And then I see a gate right here. So I assume this will go to the front, right?
Yes, there's a sidewalk that continues on along the property line to the Gama Street itself. So you've got an entrance if you're just taking a trip a block and a half away to the supermarket. You come back and take the street, the access to the unit in the back, or you can open up the alley, the gate on the alley that we just saw, and enter that way too.
Okay, so
you know, it's the property that we put up is it's pretty spacious feeling inside because we don't have a lot of partitions that chop up the space. You see there, this is the living room to the right, and looking straight ahead, that's the dining area, and there's no walls in between. So it gives you that spacious feeling. This is the bedroom. And you could put a queen size bed in there, fine. And on either wall, if you have your headboard on either side, it's got connections to the TV and all that.
Yeah, and I noticed you have a nice large closet.
Yeah, right.
And then what did we notice about the doors?
The doors are all 36 inches wide. Every single door in the house is 36 inches wide because our tenants stay with us so long, an average of 24 to 25 years, that they may need to segue to a walker or a wheelchair during their stay with us. And so it'd be nice if the doors were already would accommodate those kinds of, tools to get around.
Yeah, so, and this is not, so when you deal with section 8, is this, do you kind of get bonus points if it's ADA approved? And we'll show the rest of the, so I see no steps or no stairs. I see all even flooring.
There's no steps all the way around, and the access is critical. So you can see the rounded corners on the counter, so you're not jamming yourself into a square corner. There's a pocket door right here to go into the bathroom. See on the left-hand side, pocket door. There's a hand assist there over the toilet paper, grab bar, and another grab bar to in the bathroom itself. And so we do have a slight step to go into the bathroom just to contain the water. That's a nice looking bathroom. This is a bench seat that pulls down in the bathroom. That's made for what do you call it, steam rooms and stuff like that. It's cheap. It's built to last. Just that seat alone cost me probably close to $300.
But it all needs to be prepared and planned for, because you need to put some pretty solid anchors into the wall.
Not only that, but yeah, it's going to be there for the life of the house, and so who knows who's going to be sitting at it. So it's rated for 500 pounds.
Oh, good. Okay, so, and even this one has a little side or backyard?
Right, so that's the side entrance, and both entrances have that pinhole security screen. Here you see we put a hold the hill there in order to keep the property adjacent to us from sliding on down into our yard, that retaining wall. And that makes it just perfect for a tenant to grow tomatoes or strawberries or peas or something along that side.
Oh, okay. I think so, and then that goes back right out. Oh, I wanted to show, because you even have a tankless water heater right here, right?
Just to the left, right there. Yeah. So that way, we don't have the inside of this cinder block wall now looks a lot more inviting because we painted it to match the color of the house. The house itself, I've decided against stucco, which I find very boring nowadays. And so if that's a cementous type of shiplap wood that we put up, costs a little more, lasts quite a while, and it's fireproof. Yeah, custom cabinets, they roll out, they hold something like, I think something 60, maybe 80 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, but nothing of those are actually a requirement with the Section 8 or the Housing Authority, right?
8, yeah. Many people think Section 8 is very, very persnickety about what the unit must contain, and it really is not true. You have to have a pest-free environment, and it has to be weather tight. That's it. They rent, or they assist people that have a studio, so 0 bedroom, all the way up to about a 5-bedroom unit. And I love the 1-bedroom because it attracts an entirely different tenant if you have limited to 1 bedroom. And that gives me longevity of rent. They stay an average 24, 25 years. And so there's 300 months of a cascade of rent that's not interrupted.
And who wouldn't want to be renting? If I would be one of the housing authorities, I would be happy now to have a tenant, or so with other words, the Section 8, you will get payment directly from the housing authority, correct?
Direct deposit to my bank account.
And which is guaranteed rent?
It's guaranteed, and then usually Section 8 will pay the majority of the rent, but not all the rent. So they'll pay 80 to 90% of the rent based on economic need. But once in a great while, they'll even pay 100% of that tenant's rent if their income is extremely low.
Okay. And you can see that your returns, so I just had that, I think you mentioned that this unit rents for about $1,200 or $1,300.
Yeah, it was $1,387.
Yeah.
$287 a month.
Yeah. Okay. So we have actually, yep, I made a mistake, and that should read 1,300 right here. Oh well, nobody is perfect. So Ward, give investors or give, I mean, this also is for homeowners. Obviously, if you have a great lot and you can convert or build another unit in the backyard, it's definitely worth the money.
It doesn't have a backyard. It could be a front yard. It could be a side yard. Okay.
Yeah.
Be part of the main house. But this one happens to be a separate standalone unit in the back.
And then is there need for the housing authority to add to their inventory? I heard that they're going to increase the voucher program.
Oh, well, yeah, the reason is witnessed by the fact the waiting period to get on Section 8 in San Diego is 11 years. LA is around 15 years. New York City is the longest, is around 18 years. I mean, that's actually an incredibly exaggerated waiting period. But even area like down in National City, it's around right now 7 or 8 years to get on the waiting list.
Yeah. So investors could make a difference by bringing these affordable housing options online. And could actually maybe even reach out to the housing authority. And I appreciate your demystifying the myth of Section 8 or housing voucher program. And any advice you would give investors how to build more affordable houses? Last point of wisdom, Ward.
Well, actually, nowadays, you probably would have to go out of the more popular areas. The coastal corridor around the United States and any area in the world is always more expensive than inland areas. And so I don't look at property anymore that's any closer to our coast than 100 miles. So I'm looking at Phoenix, I'm looking at what is it, in Riverside? It would be in the Indio area, or Bakersfield, or Sacramento. I have units in all of those areas. You can go far and wide with Section 8 because they're all over the nation. And if people stay and stay and stay, you don't need management. Okay, and so if you don't have to worry about management, then you know, I once tried to buy some 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 3 houses on one lot in Anchorage, Alaska. And so, you know, that's around 2,500 miles away. And the reason I was fearless in doing it is, other than the initial meetup with a brand new tenant and taking their application and then having them inspect the property, you never go to the property again. And I never go to the property again, even the units that I have in San Diego.
Yeah, and tell us again, what is the average tenure of your rentals?
The average tenure right now is between 24 to 25 years.
Okay.
Some people that were with me for 32 years before they had to go to assisted living or went into a hospital or something like that. But that's, you know, that's 300 plus uninterrupted continuous rent coming in each and every month.
And that's a perfect wrap. So hopefully we inspired everybody who is listening to this video, and go 25 years. Ward, thank you for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us.
Lenska, that was fabulous. I love how you talked about, you can, it's a win-win situation with low-income housing, especially post-COVID. There was a question from Eric. Does the housing authority provide the, what is it? Where was that, Eric? Usually provide for the deposit if needed up front. Usually tenants are required to provide a 30% income deposit.
And that I'm not as intimate with Section 8 as Ward is, but it really depends on their financial situation. I'm not exactly sure if they put up the deposit.
Okay.
Okay, but I'll find out and just contact me or join the booth, and my contact info is in there, so I'll get back to you.
Super, thank you. Lenska will be at her booth at Crest Backyard Homes. She is also a realtor, so you can talk to her. Next, we're going on to tiny home villages. Jenny Crane and Harvey Hardwick from Rebuilding Green USA, you are up.
Okay, guys, this is a little bit of an unusual meeting, but
Jeannie and Harvey. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead to Eric Johnson, who has done one of the most amazing programs in tiny home villages I have seen out there with no government help, no income housing. He just did it, and he's doing really good for the community. Eric, jump in, please.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much. Hey, man, I feel like I better start building more, huh? Can you all see the screen okay? Let me share. I'm sharing had a couple slides just to share. Did you see those okay? All right. There we go. You guys see that okay? Good. Good. Really appreciate being part of this. We're up in Northern California. You guys are all in San Diego doing great things, in LA and all that. And we're up in Central Coast in Salinas and Monterey area, but working with a lot of our rural communities around the area in particular because of the, it's easier to place and build ADUs and tiny homes and that sort of thing in rural communities where they got more land and space and everything else. So tell you what we're up to. We're a little nonprofit. We started to really get into some of the design development around ADUs and stuff we could do from a manufactured housing standpoint. And what we did about 5 years ago, or at least started the process, was we started to connect with the Department of Corrections, where we start building some homes in the prisons. And the reason we did that is a lot of our prisons have building programs, and the building programs allow them not only to train up prisoners that'll be coming out of prison in the near future and need housing, but they need jobs too. So we get them certified, trained up in construction, framing, HVAC, solar, everything else. And then we utilize those programs really to start addressing some issues around homelessness in particular, which is really where we focus some of our attention. So I think all of us know some of the challenges and what's going on and why homelessness is actually increasing throughout California. Some of the severely stressed areas between, I guess, housing costs, obviously, all throughout California, but also the structure of income that's not just helping, not helping people meet the gap, if you will, in what it costs versus what it costs to live. So our focus has been a lot on trying to get homeless housing, but also just very low cost, affordable housing. And we've really focused sort of on a more of a village concept. And what we're trying to do is put a model together in villages that looks like this. It's got housing at the center because we all got to get people housed, but these villages, and by the way, these villages can be 50, 100 homes altogether, and we try and integrate as many services as we can, or they can be small villages on church campuses. So we're working with a lot of churches in our rural areas too to put 5, 10 houses and extend kind of their ministry they're already doing with their churches out to community members so they can help people live there, and at the same time just do some low-income housing development. So all these are kind of the wraparound services. We're not just looking at putting housing, we're looking at integrated services and making sure people get the wraparound services and the community engagement they need. Nice thing about our partnership with the prison too is construction is so short of labor right now, as well as really truly affordable solutions, that what we're able to do in the prison is keep the cost on the units we're producing way down by making them modular, as well as the labor rates. Everything else are different because it's part of the educational program there, which is terrific. So, and again, we hopefully can employ and use guys that are trained up coming out of the prison to actually turn around and build ADUs and build some of these villages going forward. So this is the kind of the scope of the model, if you will. Our little nonprofit is involved in these villages, ADUs.
Super quick, can you go back to that? So the prisoners are actually working with you, both past and current ones, to build your ADU, and it's teaching them skills, life skills, right, to succeed. I think
absolutely. And so we sort of end up, if you will, with this two-pronged approach where we have sort of the nonprofit modular housing we're using for purposes of homeless housing and so on. And these are, by the way, all the skill sets that they're learning in the prison. They get certifications, and we're actually setting up a program which is really exciting with CDCR about maybe even putting a track into the prison to allow our prisoners to get into a general contractor track and get trained up to be general contractors when they get out. And then we used, offsite modular sites to help build. We're either doing stick builds with ADUs or modular folks that are doing with other nonprofit programs that are helping contribute, if you will, to the pipeline of housing that we use. So, and so what we're, if you will, we're in sort of, I guess, 4 niches, if you will. And these, by the way, we're at this kind of, starting edge of a lot of these, but we're not only doing these housing villages and looking for land, 1 acre, 2 acres, and that kind of thing, where we're using multiple financing vehicles and operations. But we're also looking at distressed properties that we convert, can divvy up, put more housing on, put multiple ADUs on, that sort of thing. Again, geared at low-income housing. These church-based villages, similar to what they're doing with IGB down in Southern California, we're approaching the same way up here, and we're a little bit behind them on the financing models and everything else. But some of those are coming into play right now, which work really well. And then I think we're building 4 or 5 ADUs, just private ADUs right now. And again, could do those either modular or stick built, and multiple ways of doing that. So yeah, we're really excited about the partnership with the prison. We're building in 1 prison now, but we're going to adding 4 more this fall. And they're scattered throughout Northern California. So it's really easy to set up partnerships as well with local communities and help partner the prison with some of those local development efforts as well. So. And we're also looking and working at the same time on these financing models. And what we're trying to do is kind of, how do you determine eligible borrowers and qualified target folks, AMI that might apply in each of these. And then these are the typical, I guess, if you will, range of projects we're looking at from a lending standpoint, from actually even down to 500,000 up to maybe 7-8 million. We're not looking to compete with the huge nonprofit developers or anything else. That's not our niche, if you will. We're just looking to get as many units out there for housing that we can and partner in any way we can. So this is really a regional kind of effort too. I'm just going to share with you maybe 2 quick pictures of a couple projects we're working on, trying to get to the market right now. One of these is here in Salinas. Oops, there's my timer, huh? This is just really quickly a combination of 27 tiny home units or ADU units, if you will. They're geared to be 4, 6, and 800 square foot. And then we have a couple almost like dorm style apartments where we can use them for transitional housing or respite care. So this is a campus about 2 acres that we're trying to develop for up to about 100 people. And then this is just a picture of one of the churches we're working with. And this has 8 units that we're looking to place on this property. And interesting, this partnership, this is a church that's already involved in family transitional housing for homeless, and they partner with 10 or 15 churches. What we're going to do on this side is put houses there and keep them in one site, and then have the churches come to them, if you will, and help serve people and keep them stabilized in one place. So it's helping people transition quickly to some better tomorrows, if you will. So that's what we're up to. A lot of fun, and it's our biggest challenge right now is production, and then materials. Materials are very hard to get on the market right now, and that's going to be a limiting factor, I think, for everybody. And it's going to probably postpone a number of projects because of the cost of construction right now is getting to be so ridiculous that people are just they have the design, but they're parking their projects on the back burner because it's just so expensive to build right now. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I think those are absolutely amazing programs. So if you're looking to do projects like that, I really encourage you to reach out to Eric. We were developing a similar project with San Diego's second largest homeless shelter, East County Transitional Living Center. And they have such strong support by churches that we put out a flyer to church members. If you're interested in building ADUs, we will do our work at cost to help build the ADU. And then the nonprofit is, there's no lien on the property, but the nonprofit is acting like a property manager. And this is really important. These are not people directly off the street. These were people who had already been through the drug rehabilitation program, already had jobs. They were like a year and a half out since they had started the program, but they don't have enough credit yet to do the apartment. And the organization really wanted to keep them in a faith-based, safe environment, especially single moms with children and so on. So they're not out back on the street where there are a lot of temptation. So I think those are really exciting. Yeah, so a quick question. Do you think construction costs will go down anytime soon, Eric, or anybody else? I know.
And also maybe a follow-up question to that. Sorry, Meredith. So I was just wondering, when Eric was talking about construction costs, what is, I know it's material and lumber and all that, but what is the main, the key factor or cause of these projects not getting built? Is it a certain material or a material group of materials? If you can just clarify a little more. Thank you.
I'll be happy to make a quick comment. So both steel and lumber have gone up about 40% just in the last year, and 200% in pricing over the last 2.5 years. And there's just a huge shortage. Most of our lumber, probably 70%, comes out of Canada. And that's probably why you had a toilet paper supply rush as well at Costco, because a year ago when we hit COVID, everything had shut down, and the pulp from the byproducts of the lumber also shut down. So it's interesting how we're in a global economy, I guess, from that standpoint. But it's just a huge demand on a lot of building and construction everywhere right now, as well as the shortage of supply in particular from Canadian lumber that we rely so heavily on. That's been the big thing. But the cost, a 2x4 has gone up from $250 to $750 in the last year, which again is just putting projects at $300, $400, $500 a square foot to build, which is just nuts.
Yeah, and may I chime in? So if you guys notice, there are about 30 or 40 big giant ships in the Long Beach, not in the harbor, but they're all waiting to be unloaded. So that is one of the reasons for the materials. And then second is to, not only did we added tariffs to the lumber, so that obviously didn't favor the Canadians, so to speak. So it's a little bit of that they're using their lumber first before they ship it to us. And the third reason is they also on top of it had a beetle problem. And so there were a few things that are coming all on together, but there was a latest poll out if people are delaying their home remodeling because of the increased prices. And yes, and some contractors that already kind of made a bid on these, they have to retract and increase those bids, which means some people decide, okay, I'm going to put it off a little bit. So which means only means there is still more business to come. But once we're through it, I think lumber prices will come down a little bit.
So I think it's, I agree. I think it's going to be about a year and a half. We also have a massive trend of remodeling because we've all been stuck in our homes. We like working at home or whatever, and we see all the things we want to fix, and now it's optimal. So there's definitely a lot of issues. And I encourage you to sign up for the ADU Coalition newsletter.